I'm glad we have, three big players here in the market. We have Franck, PPDS, Vincent from Samsung, and we have Tobias from Sharp NEC. I'm still working on this one, but I will manage that. We want to talk a little bit about digital signage and especially the hardware technology. We showed this morning already some numbers which were disappointing. I'm sure you're all working on this one, and the first half year wasn't easy, unfortunately. And I was a little bit surprised when I saw the numbers, and I was like, oof, that's not good at all. But we still have 6 months to go, so hopefully, hopefully demand will improve a little bit. LCD has become the standard for many, many years. And I'm not sure, what the future of digital signage is. What will a typical digital signage touch point look like in 3 to 5 years from now? Will it be LCD? OLED, most likely not, especially LG is not here, so I'm sure you will all say no. But will it be LED? Will it be micro LED? How fast can we commoditize LED? Because let's be honest, most of your partners are still struggling with LED. It's a very difficult thing. And when you look also at power consumption, everything, it's also a bit challenging. So where are we? What will the digital signage technology, the major platform be in 3 to 5 years? Frank, you want to start?
Yeah, so you have a lot of questions in one single question.
Well, you know me.
No, but today, if you look at where we are today globally, the LCD market is still around $15 billion market value. LED is 8 billion, so still LCD is is a lot bigger. The growth trend of LED is planned to be a lot faster than LCD, so it will catch up. But you said also this morning that the growth trend, whether it's future source or Omdia, is changing a lot quarter after quarter. Yeah. So it's pretty difficult, and I agree that now it's difficult to forecast how the market will go. If we look on the technology, so LCD is really well-known technology. Everyone is doing LCD, so it's stable.
It's
and
cheap.
It's affordable, and yeah, it works. LED, so you have a lot of changes that are coming into LED. So you have the SMD technology, which is kind of widely spanned. Now there are new technologies which are coming, like chip on board, what we call micro LED. So those technologies are going to evolve together in the next 5 years. Which one is going to win? That is a little bit a difficult guess to make. I think here you need to look at what is the market you're addressing. If you're addressing the residential market, which is not really our market, then probably micro LED has a big advantage. If you look at the Pro AV market, here you can challenge whether you need to go as far as micro LED or if you can stay on the SMD level. But this is in the next 1-2 years. We will need to see how main manufacturers are evolving, if they are really investing in the COB assembly lines. If they do, for the residential market, then it will also spin off on the Pro AV market.
Vincent, you're doing all-in-one LED, a micro LED, and I think you're the first already in the market and make it easy to install. Can you elaborate a little bit? How fast you can do that, and what are the main benefits of that?
Yes, sure. If we want to know what's going to happen in the future, we should take a look at what happened in the past, and the past is not so long ago. Only a few years ago, Samsung entered this market with LED, and very soon invested in bringing this technology to something that will match the expectation of the market. And now we have micro LED and LED in general that can be assembled in less than an hour, and that comes also as an all-in-one. So this is a game changer for now, but if we look further, we see that in the past what has driven our market is definitely the TVs market, the consumer market in terms of technology for the panels and so on. If you look at the thickness, for example, of the TVs in stores now, and you compare to what was in stores probably 5 to 10 years ago, it's another world.
Yeah. Please take a seat. This is an open format. Please, we have some seats over here if you want to take a seat.
And so, yeah, if we look at what's going to happen, of course, I cannot disclose any.
You could. Now would be the right time.
Yeah, that's a big family. we are with
we're family here. That's
with
fine.
a family, exactly. But yes, indeed, the evolution is to go for something that will be looking like an LFD product with probably a little bit more flexibility in the size. But I foresee that in the future we will have questions to end customers on how big is your wall, and not what kind of what size do you want. You know, it's how big is your wall.
Tobias, how big is your wall? You're the only player here on the panel who's offering all technologies, and projection is one of them, where you're also quite prominent there. So, what technologies will be the major technology in the future? Will it remain LCD, or do you think there's also maybe a revival of projection because it's more energy efficient than other technologies?
Well, I believe all the technologies, they can coexist because they have their strong points, they have disadvantages, advantages, and the technology basically defines which applications are best suited with which technology. So there are very good arguments for all those technologies. Obviously, growth and penetration rate will be driven by low cost, or let's say a lowering cost. So I believe that in the future, also LED, when cost comes down, will take a lot of the share. But LCD, certainly, as we heard before, is very mature. It's stable. There's 30 plus years of experience, and it just works. So there will be applications where LCD is still the best choice in the future. But for many other applications, direct view LED will be most cost efficient and will have the best performance.
We have an elephant in the room, which is SoC, IT security, device management, all of these things. A few years ago, we didn't even talk about that. We talked about great displays and hardware, and that was the only thing. The market has totally changed. How difficult is it for you to develop? Because, I mean, I think everyone knows that most of you don't own all the factories. Even Samsung is not producing LCD panels anymore. So you're buying it, you're on a similar space, but where are we with SoC? Where are we with IT security? How can you offer something which makes it easier and more secure for users using your devices? You want to start with Samsung, maybe?
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. Samsung has brought the SoC something like 10 years ago.
And the beginning was a quite difficult way, but
it was a test. No,
yep.
it was a test. We were not sure that would be such a game changer. Now, 9-10 years later, we'll see that it's massive, it's everywhere, and it's also the trend for other industries. It's not only digital signage. We see the same kind of investment made in automotive and others. There's no longer a PC unit like we known that in the past. So definitely SoC is now there for good. Has improved a lot and will be there for quite long. In terms of security, that's also something that you mentioned. I would say that most of our engagement with end customers are bringing this topic on the table. It's not because of digital signage, to be honest. Yeah. It's more because of how they can secure their own environment with all this cybersecurity attack from a lot of very nice countries from from there. But there is another elephant in the room, I would say. Besides security and SoC, I think we are still at the middle age of digital signage. If we think that a human person needs to connect to a platform just to change a content. If, for example, you have a playlist with a promotion of a product that is running out of stock in your specific store, how can you remove it? You need to train someone in the store. You need to have a good connection to the platform, and then you need to change the content. For me, this is middle age, and we're working to provide a lot of solutions like AI, IoT, and all connected and all compatible with most of the platform and that's going to change a lot.
And I think it's really relevant. It's not the device anymore, the screen anymore. It's really the device plus the software. We're not talking about CMS level. We're talking about device management. We're talking about those things. And for me, that seems to be the big change now, because it's no secret. You launched VXT, even with the software. You have Wave, which is also a software platform of this. I believe you're doing that because there hasn't been a good solution in the market yet. So you need to do that. Are these new requirements from the industry, from partners, or do you believe it needs experts like you who know the hardware best, who can only provide that? Because for many out there in the market, they're a little bit unsure about, which direction. Are you now becoming the new competitor to them? I know the answer already, but it's still, is that something? So where are we? Are we changing from a hardware game to a hardware/middleware game?
Well, so from our side at Philips, we have been developing Wave to be a solution for the other players part of the market. So,
could you explain in 2 words what Wave is?
Yeah, so Wave is is 3 things mainly, but 2 are the most important. Is the remote device management. So today, when a manufacturer is coming to the market, we come at a different point with different products. Sometimes we come with different architecture, a different SOC level. So we come with a lot of complexity for software manufacturers that have to make sure they develop on all the new products that we are bringing from our side, from other manufacturer side. So we bring a level of development which makes the work for the developers, software developers, easier. They will have to develop once on Wave, and then we will take care of the compatibility of Wave with all our future existing and future product architecture. So that is one part. The second part, which is important, is we are not looking at ourselves being the all-in-one stop shop. So we believe that out there are many very highly skilled digital signage software companies that keep on developing on their own product to become more meaningful for the end user. And then we just need to facilitate the distribution of those applications. So today, if you look at the typical digital signage software provider, they are present in 5 countries, 6 countries. They are small-scale companies, 30 people, 40 people, and for them it's difficult to get scalability. If you, as a manufacturer, we are able to provide a way to scale, so we sell hundreds of thousands of displays globally, and this is a huge scale. So if with the middleware and with the system that we're implementing, we can facilitate app distribution, then it is a great tool for digital signage software providers to really reach this scalability. So this is where we are really pushing all our efforts.
So it's competence, it's capital, obviously, with Samsung, having hundreds of developers, creating a new platform. It's you having global reach. What about Sharp NEC? In the past, and I was really surprised to hear 2 weeks ago that you're now also, entering the SoC game. So welcome to the club. It's good, quite good news, I think. But in the past, or still today, you're really working on, on modular approach. You slot in PC and everything. So what is your approach, and how do you enable your partners, your end customers, really to be flexible and to have a secure and safe environment?
Yeah, so at Sharp NEC, the philosophy has always been to be as open to partners as possible, because there are experts for different types of applications, and it's not very likable that one manufacturer can serve all the applications. So that's why the partner ecosystem, which is strong, they are very powerful. So we try to enable them as much as possible. With the modular approach that we always had, obviously this helps scaling the different performance levels. If you have a look at the control room, for example, or basic signage, the requirements are very, very different. So our philosophy was always one size does not fit all. So we give customers the choice of the performance level, but obviously for the more entry-level applications in signage, SoC, let's say at a decent cost, it comes at no extra cost, enabled the customers to be very cost efficient. So that is the approach. And what platform they are using, whether it's an Android or some other platform or Windows, it should not make a difference, to be honest. And that's why we also try to support our partners as much as possible to optimize the performance, but also the level of security, how to interact with the display, how to get the content to the display as well.
Frank mentioned already global service availability. It's very, very essential. I know Sharp NEC or NEC at that time, you were the first one really offering a global service. And maybe some of you don't know, but in the past, when you bought a screen somewhere in Spain and you shipped it somewhere to Mexico and you need to be fixed, you need to send it back to Mexico, to Spain where you bought it. It was crazy. I think you were one of the first ones really offering a global concept. Now all of you are offering that. Do you see a big demand for that, or is this, are customers and integrators more aware of that, or do we still have this throwaway mentality where you just throw something away and it's not being repaired? I think you even repair here in Europe, right? Some of you at least.
Throw away, you said?
Yeah.
Come on, this is old-fashioned view of the market. We need to reuse. I've seen your keynote presentation. We need to reuse. We need to extend the length of our product. So yes, definitely we serve our customers with local services. We all do that.
But do they really use it? I mean, you're offering, I see that, but
yes,
I have never seen any numbers. I don't know how many service calls or how many.
I can give you an example of one company that contacted me last week. It's a French manufacturer of train, metro, and tram simulator, a driving simulator, and they manufacture their simulators in France. They ship it all around the world, and they use a very large screen in there. And they've contacted me in the past to organize local services in Australia, in South Africa, and now they contacted me for the UK, because UK has left Europe
yes, we all know.
recently. Maybe they will come back. We all hope for that. But definitely, yes, customers are using that. They need it.
Okay. We also mentioned our keynote made in China. It's becoming more and more difficult, and it's a very complex topic, and I know most of you have production facilities in China. You cannot do it without it. But do you also see a demand there for more clients asking for it? That's at least what we are hearing, especially in some more expensive things. But you all have production facilities or assembly facilities within the EU, historically for more tax and duty purposes and really for the things. But do you see a stronger demand for that? Are clients really asking for that?
Yeah, I think clients will be asking more about that. I think this discussion has many layers to it. It's the political discussion: is how dependent would you like to be for foreign production? But at the end of the day, I mean, made in China. Why the companies did it in the first place was to drive down cost. So it's about the cost. But I think if you would like to have good quality products, you have to manage the specs. So you can still produce in China, and maybe 95% of all electronics are produced in China.
Especially components. I mean, you cannot go without it.
Exactly. On a component level. You still can produce outside Europe if you manage the quality correctly, if you manage the whole chain, the product design, the quality control, if everything is correct, and obviously the work conditions are fair and everything, and all the sourcing of the material, it doesn't make any difference where the product is produced or the component is produced. But you have to make sure that you have control over the whole chain and that you have control of the quality and the specs as well, because that only leads to high quality and long-lasting products.
It was quite fascinating. We did some research, and I'm still not finished working on my big Excel sheet, to find out where each manufacturer has its manufacturing and places. So it's unbelievable. I have more than 200 factories already. I got from you a really long list, from Mexico to Slovakia to all these countries, Poland, all of them. It's crazy how many different locations there are. And you're right. I also looked at the manufacturing. So like a person working in a factory in China costs roughly $1,000 US, and in Vietnam it's a quarter of that. So that's the reason why most of you also moved to Vietnam. Also, it seems politically a little bit easier there. But still, I was surprised to hear, especially also from some of your Chinese competitors in the LED space, that they really said, we cannot sell made in China anymore, especially in the defense or government. They really, for the past months, made in China, it's difficult to sell. Is it just an urban myth, or is it really something you also experience in the field?
Well, already today, if you look at US, which is a pretty large market, if you want to sell to the federal government, you cannot get products coming from China. So the federal government is the largest customer of digital signage products globally, and they will not purchase the product manufactured in China. So if you look at India, which is also the second, probably in 5 to 10 years, it might be the biggest signage market globally. they are already enforcing all manufacturers to produce outside of China. So and they want manufacturers not to produce outside of China. They want manufacturers to produce in India.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have a big move, which is. Well, we also need to consider, like all of us, we produce a lot of TVs, monitors. The largest part of the market is consumer products, right? You achieve millions of sales. If you look at digital signage, LED, the volumes are important, but when you compare it to the consumer market, the volumes remain pretty small. So we are manufacturers. We are here to bring cost-effective production manufacturing. The moment you start to manufacture everywhere, this has an impact on the total cost, on the efficiency of factories. So it is something that is more complexity on us, I would say, but it is clearly a trend, and everything which is business to government, like you were saying, defense industry, federal government in the US, this is really going into that direction now. So.
But there were some political reasons raised here, some cost reasons, but of course the transportation cost has also raised a lot, and that has pushed us to change the location of the facilities. The shortage of components and the fact that some countries were locked down for the COVID, and also the expectation of our customers to have a more reasonable carbon footprint, push us, all of us, to bring the factories closer to our customers.
Mm. Good. Talking about sustainability and everything, I must say I was a little bit disappointed of the industry in the past, but I'm also quite surprised in the past 6 months since ISE or so how serious you are really addressing this topic. And all three of you, and I think Sharp NEC you were always first, but I was really surprised about Samsung because, you know, it's such a big tanker, you know, it takes a while. But at Infocom, you were the only one really, you know, talking about sustainability back and forth and some smaller things, some bigger things. But it's essential in Europe. We all know that. Our clients here in Europe are much more aware of that. So what are you doing and how do we create solutions which are more sustainable, which are smarter to use, and which at the end of the day, you know, have a lower carbon footprint? You start with e-paper. I think all of you are working on e-paper in some form or another. Can that be one of the solutions, one of the many solutions to reduce carbon footprint?
Well, so e-paper is kind of a groundbreaking technology. It's not a new technology because it has already been used in e-readers and so on. But reaching into the digital signage environment, it is kind of groundbreaking. It is not meant to replace digital signage. It is actually meant to replace paper and print everywhere, which is also very energy consuming. So these are really technologies where manufacturers like ourselves can really bring an advantage to the market. Actually, you're right, it is, and this is what we thought, that it was really a European thing. But on this, we are really getting interest from everywhere. Everywhere we talk about e-paper, there is an interest. So this is how hardware can support, but you can do so many things on sustainability with software. All our products are controllable. You can really decide to switch them off, on, reduce, manage the brightness of the screen depending on the light output condition. So as an industry, it's not just us that need to bring the solution. We need to bring solution, and then it needs to be picked up by the rest of the providers. And I think we can already, with the existing tools, we could do a lot better job on sustainability. And the end users are really pushing us very hard to go into that direction. It's probably part of their top 3 KPIs, all end users together.
But there seems to be a gap in the middle, or you're offering solutions which are more sustainable with software on top because the hardware is not enough. There's the end user pushing it, but somehow the integrators are not getting it, I have the feeling. Because when you look around, I mean, I went to the airport in Madrid, you know, everything was closed, but the screens were running. I mean, this is unacceptable in today's world, and you can offer the best solutions, but how do we fix that? I have the feeling that somehow in between all of this, you know, you're working really hard, you're offering software on top of it, we're still missing somehow, screens are still running. Is there awareness missing, or the right concepts, or is it just old stuff, or do I go to the wrong places, or what's the problem?
Yeah, I think awareness could definitely be one key. If you would add a voltage meter to every signage installation and people would regularly check it, they would find out operation actually creates 85% in most cases of the energy consumed. So if you can drive down the power consumption, this absolutely works. And LCD is a good example. We said it's reliable, it's mature, it works, but it's a terrible technology in terms of efficiency. You create a white backlight and then you block it out to show the colors. That doesn't make any sense.
That's the reason the 8K was such a disaster from the sustainability side of things.
Yes, so e-ink or e-paper is a good example. You only need power when you change something. That makes absolute sense. But also direct view LED. You only need energy where you show the content. So that is something that people have to understand, where they waste energy and where they don't need energy actually. So e-ink or e-paper is a very good example. If people would understand how much of energy they could save, they could also make this total cost of ownership calculation, definitely.
But let's go back to what was said before. You said you were frustrated because it was our industry was not sustainable enough. I disagree. I think my colleagues here are absolutely right. We provided already all the solutions in our screens to shut them down and so on, but nobody were using it. Now that the cost of power is getting super high, people are looking at it. But why they were not using it? Not because power was cheap. I asked that to many customers and also system integrators. And system integrators told me that they were not super confident with the fact that the screen will turn on
again next morning, yes.
The morning. And because they have SLA, they have to go on site, they prefer to leave the screen on.
And show black content, which is insane.
Exactly. So that's the reason why we also provide panel off and keep the SoC being on, because the power consumption is extremely low doing that, and it's almost instant on when you want to show something. But also, I mentioned IoT earlier. I think everything should be completely automatic. We should not rely on someone to take a remote control any longer and to turn them off. And you were mentioning, or you have ambient light sensors, but there are many other proximity present sensors that could be utilized for this, and all this exists already. This is not new technology.
But they're not being used, and maybe it's also the fault of the industry that you're not activating it. When you ship the screen, why is the sensor not activated? I mean, now you get all these great menus, how many carbon footprint you save and everything. But when you still look at least in the past, it doesn't matter which company, you bought a screen and the sensor, the proximity sensor or the brightness sensor was not activated. And I think we need to have this, we need to do that more, help the integrators to be more sustainable. In the past, I know all the arguments, I've heard it, all the colors are not correct and maybe it doesn't work anymore. So
we need to show the benefits.
Changed.
That was said by Sharp NEC. We need to show the benefits of using this. And it's, for example, most of our LCD products are 50,000 hours MTBF. If you turn off the panel at night, it makes sense, huh? You extend the life of your product. You don't extend the warranty, but you extend the life of the...
Bossa, that's a good point. That's a good point. My last point. We have only a few minutes left. We talked with many leasing companies, and we will publish this in our yearbook, in our green signage book, which will come in fall. And it's really this discussion: how can we also extend the lifetime of screens, how they're used? Until now, it's 3+2, but that's the end basically with warranties. You can put some in your basement and hope and pray, it works. And usually they work much longer than that. But don't we need to change that? Also make it easier for our clients, for integrators, for end users to use screens longer. I know basically you want to sell new screens, but the mindset is changing. And I know some of the really old generation NEC screens, they ran for 15 years or so.
17.
17. They don't look pretty anymore, but they're still running. But, times are over. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
We don't have that anymore in today's things, and for some good reasons for that. But don't we have to work on this one? Because talking with leasing companies, they're open for that. They say we're open for that, and maybe we use screens for 2 years, 3 years, and we move them to a different place. Where brightness is not such a big thing. And to be honest, brightness is usually more than enough in that. But don't we need to offer more flexible new solutions to our clients to make it easier for them to use screens longer than 3+2 years?
Well, I think you can, but you also need to come back to loop the discussion with your first point of this session. Is you're talking about security. More and more of the displays are coming with SoC embedded, so you need to make sure that your security is up to date. the longer you wait on the SoC generation, you can get to a certain level of security patches, but at some point the security is also not covered anymore. So you also need to make sure that not only you have the hardware, so the panel, the visible thing, but what is inside. You cannot compromise on data security for the end user. So you also have a way to manage it. So you can go to modular architecture, where you can just take out and put back in a new SoC. And that ensures security compliancy for another cycle. So if we're able to solve the security part, I think you can definitely, above 10 years is something that can easily be managed, provided you really control the displays and you make it working when it needs to work.
Mm. Good. So we need to come to a close because we have so many other sessions. But I think to sum it up, I think we all agree green signage sustainability. There are many ways of doing it, not only energy consumption, but also extending lifetime, replacing SoC, all of these things. But we really need to educate the market because some of the technologies are already there, but we need to let them know that they are there and that they can use them for free, by the way, if they're already built in. Secondly, software plays an increasing role. It's not only hardware anymore, and it's either provided by the display vendors because you know your hardware best, or by third-party vendors like SignageOS or so doing this. But I think eventually this is a really important thing, and also systems are monitored actively, and not only if something happens. And I think you all provide software and solutions with yourself or your partners who really make it easier. But for me, it's so frustrating to, I believe like probably 90-95% of the digital signage screens out there are not really monitored actively. Only if something happens, and you offer solutions which you could do it already not today, right? It's not that it's not possible. But I think we need to educate the market, and so much has changed in the past 12 months. And we really need to work on this one. And it's great to see that you're offering more of that. We all understand that also that could bring certain conflicts because with software offerings, you're maybe moving in some fields where some of your partners are there. But maybe that's a price to pay. And I think you all offer solutions which are open to other solutions so that they're agnostic to things. And one last thing I know, because one of the main reasons many people are here in the room is they want to understand what VXT is, and we cannot explain it because it still takes some time. But I took a deeper look at VXT, and for me it's fascinating how the modular approach of it. And it's offering a lot of things CMS are currently doing, but it's also opening up as a platform, more like a Apple OS, iOS, something like this, so you can dock on different services. And we had a long discussion internally about, what is the future of software, how does it look like, and we have lots of sessions today and tomorrow about it. It's probably different to what we're used to. And I think there are different ways of connecting third-party software, middleware, CMS systems. We heard with Audi, they're doing their own CMS, so they're using a standard CMS anymore. I think we need to understand that the market is changing dramatically. And you need to provide solutions which are ready for that. The software industry needs to understand, needs to adapt to that, to adopt to that. So I think these are really exciting times. And so thanks for joining this panel. And I think we need to do many, many more of these panels in the near future. And thanks also for being so open for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Florian.
Thank you all.